Title: The Phantom Bride. In the heart of Nigeria, nestled within the rolling hills and vast forest, there lay a small village called Okedon. The villagers lived simple lives, connected by their shared heritage, traditions, and the land that fed them. Among these villagers was a young man named Adewale. At the age of 25, Adewale was full of dreams, his heart bursting with a desire to seek fortune beyond the hills of Okedon. Adewale was the pride of his family. His parents, Baba and Mama Adeyemi, had raised him and his 4 siblings in the ways of the ancestors, teaching them to respect the land and the spirits that watched over it. But Adewale's spirit was restless. The village, with its age-old traditions and familiar faces, felt too small for his ambitions. He longed for the excitement and opportunities that the city promised, so he made the difficult decision to leave his family and embark on a journey to Lagos. Life in the city was nothing like the peaceful existence he had known in Okedon. Lagos was a whirlwind of noise, color, and chaos. The bustling markets, towering buildings, an endless sea of people made him feel both exhilarated and lost. But Adewale was determined. He worked hard, taking on any job that came his way, sometimes menial, sometimes demanding, until he found his footing as a successful businessman. As the years passed, Adewale's name became known in certain circles, and he began to build a life for himself in the city. One fateful evening, while attending a social gathering, Adewale met a woman named Monarchy. She was unlike anyone he had ever encountered, graceful, with a beauty that seemed almost ethereal. Her laughter was soft and melodic, her eyes held a mystery that drew him in. They spoke for hours that night, and by the time the evening ended, Adewale knew he had found someone special. Their love blossomed quickly. Monarchy was everything Adewale had ever dreamed of in a partner: caring, intelligent, and supportive. They soon married in a quiet ceremony, attended by a few of Adewale's friends. The years that followed were filled with happiness. They welcomed 2 children, a boy named Ahmad and a girl named Kemi, into their lives. Adewale felt complete, his once restless spirit calmed by the love of his wife and the joy of his children. However, beneath this happiness, an eerie stillness lay. Monarchy was a devoted wife and mother, but there was something about her that troubled Adewale. She never spoke of her past, and whenever Adewale asked about her family or childhood, she would gently change the subject. She had no friends or relatives who visited, and although the children adored her, she often seemed distant, as though her thoughts were elsewhere. Yet, despite these oddities, Adewale's love for Monarchy remained steadfast. One night, after a particularly busy day at work, Adewale returned home to find the house unusually quiet. The children were in bed, but Monarchy was nowhere to be found. Panic gripped his heart as he searched the house, calling out her name. He finally found her in the backyard, standing still under the pale moonlight. She looked more beautiful than ever, but there was a sadness in her eyes that he had never seen before. "Monarchy, what's wrong?" Adewale asked, his voice trembling. She looked at him with a gaze that pierced through his soul. "Adewale, there's something I must tell you, but it will break your heart." He reached out to touch her, but she took a step back, her form shimmering as though she were not entirely there. "What are you saying? Tell me, please." Monarch's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "I am not of this world, Adewale. I am a spirit, a ghost. I was sent to comfort you, to give you love and a family when you were far from home. But my time here is over." Adewale's mind raced, refusing to believe what he was hearing. "No, this cannot be. You are my wife, the mother of my children. How can you say this?" Tears welled in her eyes as she smiled sadly. "I was never meant to stay. I have fulfilled my purpose. Our children, Ahmad and Kemi, they are real. They will remain with you. But I must go." Before Adewale could protest, Monarchy began to fade, her form dissolving into the night air. He tried to hold on to her, to keep her from leaving, but his hands passed through her as though she were made of mist. And then, she was gone, leaving only the cold night and a deep, aching emptiness in Adewole's heart. The days that followed were a blur of pain and disbelief. Adewale could not accept that the woman he had loved so deeply, the mother of his children, had been a spirit. He searched for answers, consulting elders, priests, and anyone who might know something about the supernatural. But no one could explain what had happened. Finally, broken and weary, Adewale returned to Okidon. His parents, Baba and Mama Adeyemi, welcomed him with open arms, sensing the sorrow that weighed heavily on him. In the warmth of his family's embrace, Adewale recounted his tale, the love he had found, the children he cherished, and the ghostly wife who had vanished into the night. His family listened in stunned silence. Baba Adeyemi, a man wise in the ways of the old world, spoke after a long pause. "My son, there are mysteries in this life that we may never fully understand. The spirits move among us, sometimes to guide, sometimes to test us. Monarchy was sent to you for a reason. She gave you love and children, and that is a blessing. But now, you must be strong for Ayamide and Kemi. They need you more than ever." Adewale nodded, tears streaming down his face. He knew his father was right. The pain of losing Monarchy would never fully fade, but he had to find the strength to move forward, for the sake of his children. And so, Adewale stayed in Okidon, raising Ayamide and Kemi with the help of his family. The village, with its age-old traditions and familiar faces, became his refuge. Though his heart remained heavy with the memory of Monarchy, he found solace in the laughter of his children and the love of his family. Years passed, and Adewale became known as a man who had lived through great sorrow but had emerged with a heart full of love. His story, told and retold by the Fireside, became a legend in Okidon, a tale of love, loss, and the mysterious ways of the spirits that dwell between worlds. In the end, Adewale learned that some love stories, no matter how brief or strange, are meant to shape us in ways we cannot always comprehend. And though Monarchy was gone, her memory lived on in the children she had left behind, and in the heart of the man who had loved her, even if she was never truly of this world.